It's time for another Dice Tower review with Brian Hoier.
Hi, and welcome to another Dice Tower iOS game review. I'm Brian Hoier, and this week we're going to be looking at Forbidden Island. Now, this is a game a lot of you might be familiar with because, one, it's really cheap, and two, it's a great gateway game to introduce people into this type of board gaming. It's cooperative play, you're not competing against each other, it's a lot of fun, super easy to set up, easy to learn, and like I said, it's just so compact and small you can take it with you anywhere. How does the iOS version stack up? Well, let's take a look and find out. Here on the home screen you can see we've got the begin option. You can resume a previous game, which is always a nice feature, especially for something so portable. You can take a look at the rule book, which is actually pretty long, but handy to have if you've never played before. Mess around with the settings, see your achievements, and then view the credits for the people who made the game. We'll tap begin to go to the next screen. At the second screen, you've got several options. First off, here's where this game really shines. Unlike a lot of iOS versions of board games where they change the rules and take out a lot of features, this actually has a 2, 3, and 4-player option. And not only does it have that, but you can play tabletop style, where you lay it down in the middle like a board and everybody gathers around, just like you would the physical copy. Or you can play pass and play, which I'm not such a fan of, but I suppose if you were in a car, on an airplane, something like that, you might have to go that route. We'll choose tabletop, and you can choose the difficulty like in the game. There's normal, elite, legendary, and novice. And this game can actually get quite hard the higher up you go. And we'll click quick start, although there is a tutorial. Now here we have the layout of the board with all of these squares representing a different part of the island. You have the green player, who happens to be assigned the explorer role, the black player down here, who's the diver. Over on here in the top left you got the red player, who's the engineer, and then in the bottom left you got the gray colored messenger. As you play, the goal is to find the 4 ancient artifacts, and once you've found those, you have to get back to the Fool's Landing square, which is marked with a helicopter, and get every player on there, and then escape from the island before you flood and die. During your turn, for instance right now, the red player, it's his turn, you can tell he's got the little blue band around his neck there. You can do 3 actions. He can move to any of the spots marked in green. You can only move up, down, left, and right, never diagonally. Or, for your 3 actions, you can do 2 other things. You can sandbag an island. If you notice, some of them are blue. They've already been flooded. And the problem is the island is sinking as you try to find these treasures. By sandbagging, I'll just sandbag this one, you save the island square until its card comes up again. So I've used up one of my actions. I'll move over here. There's 2 actions. And now I'll save this square. There's my 3rd action. At the end of your turn, you draw a treasure card. And that goes into your hand. Notice you got a flame and one of the moon statues. And then you draw the flood cards, and the island spots that come up will turn blue, showing you that they're partially flooded. Now, when they disappear is when the island card comes up twice. So, for instance, right now, Fool's Landing is flooded. If after this player's turn, it's green now, you notice he has the blue band. If he plays, and when he floods the island, Fool's Landing comes up again, it disappears completely from the game. And that can actually leave a hole in the island. In the case of Fool's Landing, the game would end because that's the only square you can leave from to win at the end. So the green player is going to sandbag that because we have to save Fool's Landing. He'll move over here, and I didn't quite get saved the observatory because I used my 3 actions. So he'll draw. He's got another moon statue and a flame, and you know how many flood cards to draw because it shows you the number down here. So 2 at the end of each turn. As the water level rises, which happens when a water level rise card comes up, eventually 3 island pieces will flood at a time, and 4 island pieces, and the further into the game you get, the more difficult it becomes, because more and more of the island floods at the end of each turn. So as you play, you'll get these cards, and like I said, the goal is you have to get all 4 of the treasures, get back to Fool's Landing with every player on there, and escape off of the island. Now, in order to get a treasure card, to get the treasure, you have to have 4 of the same treasure card. So this player has 2 moons. He needs 2 more, and then he has to get to one of the island spaces that has the matching symbol on it to cash them in and then get the statue, and he's found that relic. And then you have to have somebody get 4 of the fire emblems to get the fire statue, the lion, the chalice, etc. It's difficult to get 4 of the same, except for the fact that if another player has one that you need, you can go into a square they have, and you can use one of your actions to actually give that card to another player. So you can speed the process along by helping each other out, because this is a co-op game at its best. You really do need to work together. You need to plan ahead and talk about, okay, we need to get over here. I need you to unflood this part of the island so that we don't lose it. I need you to give me this card, etc., 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 as you play along. So, final verdict for the iOS version of Forbidden Island? Solid 2 thumbs up. This is one of the few iOS games where they did not cut any corners or remove any features from the original version. You can play it 2, 3, 4 players. It's got beautiful graphics. They kept the original artwork. You can choose to play it as a board game, set it down where everybody can see what's happening, and you can really talk it through, being as it's a cooperative game, and you need to be able to see what the other players are doing. But you can do pass and play if you prefer that, or if you need to. I honestly can say that if you play this version, you're really not losing out on much unless you absolutely love the physical feel of having the cards and pieces in your hand. Otherwise, this is definitely a great purchase, extremely reasonably priced, much cheaper even than, say, Small World, which is a good iOS game, but they cut so many features out of that, and they cut corners. This one didn't do any of that. It is the full game, and I highly recommend it. This is Brian Hoier for the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.